following is a special presentation of a 3-part series created by Metis youth in the Metis and Me program, a program that allows Metis youth to learn and share what being Metis means to them. Today's episode is Pause and Start, hosted by Alyssa and Jonique.
Hello, and welcome to the Pause and Start podcast. It's a learning tool for teachers and parents to help children explore culture while gaining different perspectives. This podcast is interactive and encourages the listeners to ask questions, discuss, and create. This episode is about Indigenous culture, specifically the Metis, and how it's a separate category within the overall Indigenous heading. Although the Metis people are still Indigenous people, it's significant to know that the Metis are separate as they have both Indigenous and French ancestry. This is a common fact that most people don't know, as they assume that all Indigenous people are the same, while in actuality, each nation within Indigenous culture has its own different traditions. Before you begin, here are some things you will need: a worksheet, one for each child, that will be completed at the end. You can find the worksheet link in the description of the podcast, and I've also included a finished copy so you know roughly what it should look like. Next, you will need colored pencils in the colors blue, green, yellow, and one regular pencil. Now, last but not least, play this for your students or kids, and feel free to help lead them along. Hopefully, you have already introduced the topic of culture and have given them some background info about Indigenous people prior to playing this podcast. Also, just a reminder that this podcast is particularly about the Metis, and that all info applies only to them, as other nations will have their own views. I ask that you also keep in mind that information in this podcast is of my own personal knowledge and what I have learned from the elders in my community. I suggest doing some more research and learning about the Metis in your area, along with other nations too, as each one has its own unique set of teachings. Now, get ready to pause, discuss, and answer the questions. Take your time to play and continue at your own pace. Now, let's start. Hello, everyone. I hope you are all having a great day. Or if not, I hope this gives you something to focus that energy on. Today, we will be learning about Indigenous culture, but specifically the Metis people. To start, I'm going to be asking you some general questions about culture. This is just to be a check-in with yourself, as there are no right or wrong answers. Take this time to focus on you and whatever first comes to your mind. Remember to pause and start after each question to answer and discuss. Raise your hand if you know what culture is. Culture is the makeup of so many things that connect us to our history, the ones before us. Can anyone share an example of culture? Culture can be anything, from what you believe in to music or food, what we eat. Now raise your hand if you know what a tradition is. A tradition is something that you do every year. It's something that repeats. Now, go around the room and if you'd like, tell each other what one of your traditions are. As you might have realized, there are so many traditions. These traditions connect us to other cultures as well as our own. Now, I'm going to switch from culture and move to history. We all came from somewhere, and that's why my next question is, where are you from? Now, I don't mean your house or from your parents, although that is true. I mean the land, your ancestors, the people before you, your family, and their history. For example, I am Metis and Cree, Indigenous on my mom's side and Ukrainian on my dad's side. Now, raise your hand if you know where you're from. hands down. Now raise your hand if you have no idea. If you have no idea where you're from, I encourage you to ask questions and try and find out. I also want to remind you that it's okay to not know, and that it sometimes takes a while as the conversation might not be easy. If you already know, then your journey is just getting started, and you can keep learning to further get to know yourself. Now that we have talked about connection between culture and tradition, it's time to get right into our activity and have fun with color. Art is a great representation of Métis culture, so to continue our learning, we shall do so through art. You should all have the worksheet in front of you and 3 colored pencils in blue, green, and yellow, and 1 regular pencil. To start off, does anyone know what this picture is? If you said a dream catcher, you would be right. Now, take a look at the dream catcher. Do you notice what is in the middle? In the middle is an infinity sign that means endless as it goes on and on and on. We will now jump into the instructions for our activity. Please pause and start when ready to move on, taking your time and not having to rush. First thing you're going to do is draw a straight line from the loop of your dream catcher at the top to the longest feather tassel at the bottom. Now that your dream catcher is split into 2 sections, you can start adding your beads. You have to draw 10 beads on each side starting on the right. Your beads will be drawn using your yellow colored pencil and are little circles following the line of your half circle dream catcher. Next, you will do the same thing on the other side with your green colored pencil, 10 small circle beads following the line. Now, add in your center lines to make your dream catcher look like it has a spider's web in the middle. Next, you can add blue circle beads, lining the infinity sign with your blue colored pencil. And lastly, color in the feathers blue at the bottom, leaving the beads at the bottom white. Now, while you finish your art and are tidying up, here is some information on dream catchers. Dream catchers are used a lot in Indigenous art in a general sense. They are not specifically connected to Métis culture, although some Métis people may want to include it in their art. The dream catcher has different stories involving its use and importance, but the most common teaching is that you hang the dream catcher by your bed. The dream catcher looks after your dreams while you sleep. If it's a good dream, they will pass through the spider's web in the middle of your dream catcher, but if it's a bad dream, it will get caught. So the dream catcher is like a protector of dreams, keeping the bad ones and allowing the good ones to fill your mind for a good and restful sleep. Hopefully by now your dream catchers are completed and we will move on to the reflection portion. I will ask some questions about the art that you have created, and on your own you can answer on a blank piece of paper or use the back of your worksheet. This is just for you to answer individually. From doing our activity, what are some things you have noticed about your finished dream catcher? What do you notice about the amount of beads? Count the beads. How many are on each side? If you counted 10 beads, then that is correct. There are 10 beads on each side of our dream catcher, making it have an equal number of beads on each half. Do you notice anything about the colors? Did you see that on the left side there are green beads, but on the right the beads are yellow? This is because the green is to represent Indigenous ancestry and the yellow represents French ancestry, which together creates the Metis. Why do you think the infinity sign is blue and in the center of your dream catcher? Fun fact: if we were to have a bottle of green paint and a bottle of yellow paint and we mix them together, they would make the color blue. The word Métis means mixed, which just further helps us understand the history and how the Métis came to be. Other than the infinity sign beads, what else on the dreamcatcher is blue? Did you notice the blue feathers at the bottom? This is because when paired with the white beads on the tassels, they represent the Métis flag, which colors are white and blue with an infinity sign. The infinity sign in the Métis flag shows that Métis culture is endless and will live on forever. What did you learn or liked most about the activity? My favorite part was adding the beads, because beading is one of the things the Métis are most known for and is used a lot in Métis art. It is also a great finishing touch to complete your dream catchers. Thank you for putting in the work to listen. I hope that this has opened your eyes a little wider to culture, tradition, and of course the Métis. Now, show your art and share your new knowledge of what you have learned. But remember to continue to ask, listen, discuss, and create.
This episode was developed through the Métis and Me program, with the generous support of the Laidlaw Foundation's Indigenous Youth and Community Futures Fund. This episode was hosted by Alyssa Andronique. Produced and edited by Samantha Loney. Original music provided by Etienne Beausoleil and Caleb Laducier. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate it and share with others to help decolonize the airwaves.